Hello everyone and welcome back. We're so happy to see you, and today we're going to be talking about a topic that we are very passionate about, and that is the topic of marriage.
Yes.
So we're going to be talking about the 4 laws of marriage. And so I tell you, if you use these 4 laws, if you apply them to your marriage will get better.
Stronger.
And this is stronger. And this is for single people. This is for if you are engaged, if you are married, if you are separated, if you are having marital problems, we recommend that you watch this video. So we're going to be discussing the 4 laws of marriage, but we're only going to talk about one at a time because we want to make sure everyone understands the 4 laws. So the first law we're going to talk about is the law of priority.
Yes.
And that is found in Genesis 2:24 and 25.
Yeah, Genesis chapter 2, verses 24 and 25. It says, "Therefore shall a man leave his father and mother, and cleave to his wife, and they shall be one flesh. And they both were naked, and the man and the wife were not ashamed." So the law we'll be dealing with in this session is the law of priority. What is priority?
You make something a priority. You are saying that this is the most important thing in my life. And so we know that, there's so many things that can be a priority in our life.
Right.
It could be your children, it could be your job, your career, it could be hobbies, sports, extended families, it could be your church, it could be hobbies, interests that you may have.
That's right.
And so we find that a lot of times marriage has to be your number one priority.
Yes.
And if it's not, you're going to have problems in your marriage.
Yes.
And so we know that marriage works best when it is priority number uno.
Number one. Yes. So the scripture that we'll be dealing with as our foundation, it says, "Therefore shall a man leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife," which means get close to his wife, "and they shall be one flesh." The leaving is now all of our lives. Like in my case, I've spent several years, many decades, if you will, with my parent, right? And the moment I decide to get married, I have to, at some point, leave. And that leaving, by leaving, I am actually stating that, yes, my parents are important. Yes, I love my parents. But this relationship that I'm forging with this woman is more important in terms of priority than all other relationships.
Right.
If that is not the case, then I cannot have a strong marriage. If anything else takes priority over this relationship, then what will end up happening is that my marriage will suffer at some point in the long term. And we have seen it for many years now, observing couples, dealing with counseling or whatever. We notice that whenever there is a struggle, a friction in the marriage, whenever there is a struggle, one of these 4 laws are violated. And most times is the first law, the law of priority. So we have a list of things that we want you to take a chance of prioritizing these things. So the first one you have is, we have friends, okay? We have hobbies, okay? You can write those down as we go along. Job. Marriage, okay, yeah. You have church, yeah. Extended families, God, and children. So how would you prioritize these items? Okay, I'll give you the list once more. We have interests, hobbies, work, friends, marriage, children, church, God, extended families, sports, or whatever. How would you prioritize this list? I'll give you a second to think about it. Let's see how you have it prioritized. All right, we're going to tell you and give you a list that works. This list will work every time. The first that we believe you should have, we recommend, is God on the list. Okay. The second would be your marriage. So under God, your marriage comes first. Okay? And then your children. Those are the first three. Okay? Obviously, what we have seen in the past is that a lot of couples get this marriage out of sync with everything else.
Right.
So they place, there could be their children above their marriage. That's a problem.
Yes.
Sometimes they place their job above their marriage. And as Angie said, God designed marriage to operate in first position. Marriage works best in first position under God. So everything else. So I have a job. We have 2 kids. We have hobbies. I have other interests. But my marriage comes first. I have friends that I hang out with. But my marriage comes first. And that's very important for us to observe this law of a priority. A lot of times we notice couples, what they do is, let's say the man would talk about priority, and they would say, honey, you're the greatest thing in my life. You're the first in my life. I love you. But most times when you have a struggling marriage and the man is saying the right things, a lot of times priority must be proven in real terms, not just in words. So if a husband is saying, honey, you're my priority, I value you, you're worth, all that. But if my action does not say that, then my words are empty.
Right.
So there are 4 ways that we prove priorities, 4 real ways that we prove priority. What are those 4 ways?
Okay, so the first one is sacrifice. What are you willing to give up for your spouse?
Wow.
And this looks like, for example, a lot of our husbands are into sports, into football, what have you. And say, for example, every Sunday they are watching, say, football for hours. And so maybe the wife is getting neglected on Sundays in some kind of way. So she may feel a little upset with her husband because she feels like on Sundays or on the weekend, she's being neglected because he's glued to the TV. So sacrifice looks like, what are you willing to give up for your spouse? Are you willing to give up all the time you spend watching television, watching, say, football, for example,
or
to
movies,
spend time, or movies? Are you willing to give up? What are you willing to sacrifice?
So are you telling me that me telling you you're valuable is not enough?
It's not enough. You have to show me.
Okay.
Show me the money.
Show me the sacrifice.
Yes.
Okay. The other thing that will prove sacrifice is time. Time is very, very important.
Yes, it is.
Consistency, meaning not just a lot of men, what they do, I know this, is that they have special times during the year where they bring out the best.
Yes.
Valentine's, maybe birthdays, maybe Christmas or whatever.
Yes.
So we're looking at 3, maybe 4 times during the year where or Mother's Day, whatever, 4 or 5 times during the year where they take it up to the next level, or take it up a notch, and they think by doing that is enough.
Right.
And what is that enough?
It's not enough.
Why
Sometimes,
not? Why not?
Sometimes you men, if y'all mess up and your wife is angry, they'll go out and buy like a bouquet of flowers or a card, and we do appreciate that. However, show me the money. Show me, what are you willing to sacrifice for me?
On a consistent basis.
Time is a commodity of a relationship, just as money is a commodity of a business. So in a relationship, how much time you spend with me determines how well you value me. How much do you value my relationship?
Okay. So you're saying by me doing the flamboyant, extravagant birthday deal, Christmas, the surprises once in a while is not enough.
It's not enough. It's good. I'm not keep doing that. Yay, keep it coming. But we need to look at sacrificing time. What are you willing to sacrifice for me? And are you willing to spend time with me consistently? Yes.
So the key word, men, what I'm hearing here from this woman, and I think she speaks for some of the other women out there, is that consistency is key.
Yes.
So it's not just spurts of extravagance, but consistency throughout the year.
Consistent sacrifice, consistently spending time with me.
The other is energy.
Energy.
Okay. Meeting needs. I have to spend time in thinking about how am I meeting the needs of my spouse, my wife. So that shows value, meaning that you spend time, you have to, in fact, when you're dating, you most of us, when we're dating, we prioritize, we study this woman, we spend time.
Favorite color.
Yes, whatever.
Yes.
And we spend time, we study her. But a lot of men, the moment they get married, they stop that study, research of the woman. And that's a pitfall. Yes. We men, we need to continue because we will never know everything there is to know about our spouse.
Right.
Our spouse are growing. They are changing, and as a result of that, we have to learn the woman as she grows and as she matures.
Right.
So we have to spend time studying her, finding out how do I meet her need consistently, not just in spurts here or there, but truly consistently, and meet the need on her terms, not on my terms. My terms will be, let's go to a soccer game.
Yeah.
Let's hang out. Let's go to a soccer game. And some men, let's go hunting. Let's go fishing. Your wife may not be an outdoorsy person.
Right.
Your wife may not like outdoors. So meeting her needs is not on my terms. It's not what I want to do. I need to know, as the woman is growing, as she's growing, what will touch her heart, touch her heartstrings, the thing that she enjoys doing. Even though I may not enjoy it. For instance, your wife, your spouse may like those tearjerkers movies. As a guy, I personally don't like those. I like the ones where
action,
things are blowing up, explosion, action, But if I want to show that I value her on her terms, I may have to watch one
of those documentary movies with me. Yes.
Yeah, I may have to, make the sacrifice, if you will, and go through spending time on her terms.
Yes.
The other is,
and that's vice versa. That's not only the men, but also us ladies also have to spend the time with our husbands and also doing some things that they enjoy doing. Recreation. If they enjoy golfing, we'll go out there and golf with them.
Yes.
If they enjoy basketball, go to a basketball game with them. If they enjoy football, watch football with them. And so it's a two-way street where he's meeting my needs, he's coming to watch my type of movies, but yet at the same time, I am also reciprocating that sacrifice and that time also back. Good. So if the both of you are both reciprocating, sacrificing time, both of your needs are going to be met.
Yes, and the other way of showing priority is, attitude.
Yes.
How are we showing positive, affirming words and attitude towards your spouse, which simply means if you value your spouse, you would make sure you will adjust your attitude, not to say that every day everything will be perfectly right all the time, but you'll manage your attitude in such a way that she knows that, this man respects me, this man loves me, this man value me, I am worth a lot in his life, and that's very important. So the pursuing, the interest, the positive, the affirming, the words is another way that we show value, we show priority, is the words we use.
Yes.
My tone.
Yes.
My attitude towards you. So that's not just saying, honey, you're highest priority in my life. Yet my words are very
sharp,
critical,
Yes.
condescending.
condescending.
Those are words that should not be part of your vocabulary as you're dealing with the
Right.
most important relationship in your life, which
And
is
if
your
you,
spouse.
yeah, and if you happen to make a mistake and you are harsh and
What do you
critical,
say?
you apologize.
Yes,
Just
yes,
say,
yes.
honey, I'm sorry. Will you
Yes.
please forgive me?
Yes, I do forgive
So,
you. Yeah.
thank you.
So that's the way you show priority. So priority, it's not in words only. In fact, words is of no value if it's not followed up by real actions.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Making marriage your number one priority, you have to actually strategize for this.
Yes,
Be strategic
yes,
with
right.
it because you have to protect marriage
Yes.
as being the number one priority in your life
Yes,
because
yes,
life
yes.
happens and there's going to be something coming at you
Oh, yeah, every time.
day that
Yes.
will try to take that first place in your
Yes,
life, but you
yes,
have
yes.
to make sure that you keep your marriage number one. Sometimes we as women, we tend to make our children our
Yes,
number one
yes,
priority,
yes,
but we
yes,
have to
yes.
realize that our marriage comes before our children. And sometimes you husbands, sometimes you think your career, your job is number one.
But I'm providing for you, sweetheart.
Yes, yes. And we want you to provide. Keep providing, but at the same time, do
You
not
have to-
neglect
yeah,
us
a balance.
while you're providing, and still keep your marriage number one, because
yes, yes.
you got
How
to
do
protect
you-
it.
How do you, when you mention children, there's a lot of people out there, you may have a blended family.
Yes.
And that's I think the most challenging as
Yeah,
it relates to
blended.
children and marriage and priority.
Yeah.
Because the tendency, what we have seen, is that in blended families, let's say we are a blended family, you have your kids, I have mine, we bring it, we marry, get married, so all the kids, we're one happy, big family.
Yeah.
And then when there are disciplinary action to be taken, when there are things to be done,
Right.
the tendency is for me to favor my kids.
Yes.
And you to favor yours.
Yes.
And the kids, oh, by the way, the kids, if you don't protect this relationship here, the kids will play.
Kids will come
play-
right in between
Yes.
the
yes.
children.
Will come
those
right
precious,
between.
innocent children.
Well, they're precious. Sometimes they're not as innocent. They will play
Yes.
one
Yes.
against the other.
Right.
So, because of that, you have to put up a united front.
Yes.
So we have to be on the same page. We have to be always on the same page.
Right.
If not, the kids will divide,
Yes, they will.
and as a result of that, that will produce a crack in the foundation of your marriage.
Yes.
So as it relates to priority, this is a huge deal. And the way to, as Angie said, you have to strategize to protect your priorities.
priorities.
So you sit the kids down and say, little bundle of joys, I know that you are precious, but mom and dad, our relationship is number one. And you have to show that in real terms, that this relationship is number one. And I think over time, the kids will follow suit.
Yes.
They will fall in
They'll
line.
respect that decision.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
They're taking cues
Right.
from our relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why we have to strategize to make sure that our marriage is priority and it's lived out in their presence.
Right.
And they'll see it, and
Yes.
once they see that, they'll just back off and follow suit.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So in conclusion, your number one priority is your marriage
Yes.
relationship. It
Yes.
is not the children. It is not the church. It is not your
Hobbies.
extended family, your hobbies, besides God. So God is your number one. Then after God comes your marriage relationship.
Yes, that's right.
If you
Exactly.
keep this tight, everything else will
Will
fall in place.
In place. Yes, exactly. So, and remember, marriage only works best in position number one.
Uno. Yes.
Uno.
Yes.
Okay. So keep that in mind. And the takeaway is, I want to challenge you as you're watching. If you're married, I want to challenge you today to sit down with your spouse, and as it relates to priority, come up with 3 things or statements that you could both agree on that will guard this priority.
Yes.
This strategy. So
Yes.
three
Yes.
strategies. So three short sentences to basically make a declaration with one another, an
Yes.
agreement
Yes.
that you guys plan on instituting.
Making your marriage a priority.
Yes,
That can be
that's right.
something practical, like every week we'll have a date night.
Yes, that's right.
You
That's
know,
one of the things we did. Yeah.
Yes, because a lot of times, like I said,
Once a week, yep.
making your marriage a priority, there's a lot of good things that will creep in, and
Yes, yes.
these good things, they may be good,
Yeah.
but they will try to make their way to being number one in your life. But you have to say, my marriage is my number one priority.
Yes,
Because
yes, it
if
is.
not, there's a lot of good things that will come your
many,
way.
yeah,
Many
yes,
things that you can find to do, and if you do them over time, you're gonna grow apart.
Yes.
You're
yes,
gonna
that's
become
right.
like roommates living under one roof, and you don't
Right.
want that.
You don't want that.
So
Right.
keep your marriage number one, and that
Yes.
is your number one priority. Some practical things: have a date night,
Yes, that's a good one.
come together, pray together, have Bible study together, write it down and make a list of things that we will do every week to
On
stay
a consistent basis.
On a consistent
The other thing
basis.
is, as we talk about time, it is so important that you talk.
connected. Yes.
That you talk. I mean, talk.
Yes.
And the talk is not about the weather. Talk about how are you doing.
Yes.
How are you doing?
Yes.
And you have to be vulnerable when you talk. So you prioritize talking. If you have kids in the home, take the kids, set the kids aside. When the kids are in bed, you spend time before you close the day and say, how are you doing, girl? How are you doing? And get a
Connecting.
sense.
Yeah.
Yes, that's you put your connection with each other a priority.
Yes.
Which means, how are you doing?
Right.
What and at work you could ask about work.
Yes,
How is work?
yes, yes.
And then you're connecting on a very deep level.
Yeah.
How are you doing? Meaning, and if there are concerns that you have, fears, stress level, whatever, these are the times when you connect with your spouse. You download all the concerns you have, desires, and dreams as well. Don't just avoid,
Yeah.
but you can also start dreaming.
Yeah.
In terms of what you want to accomplish going forward
Right.
in the future.
And that goes back to, remember we talked about your commitment is
Yes.
proven in real terms,
Yes,
not just
real
words.
terms. Yep.
So that's, what are you willing to sacrifice for me? So at night, instead of watching movies, spend time together
Just talking.
with
Yeah,
one
yeah,
another.
yeah.
And staying
Yeah.
connected, because as I said, there are many things that will creep in.
Yes.
And once
yes.
those things creep in, those bad habits of maybe being on the internet for too long, those things will creep in, and
Yes.
it'll cause some disconnect in your marriage, and you don't want that. You
Right.
want to be able to spend quality time with your spouse.
Yes.
You want to be able to
It-
stay connected.
it has
so
to
that
be,
when
yes.
you're connected like this, nothing can come between
Right.
this connection.
Right.
But if you're disconnected,
Yes.
there's a lot of things that can come right
Yes.
in between
Right.
us to get our
Exactly.
attention, to get our time.
Right. And I think it's very important. Your job, I know my job is very important, but I have to put that in perspective.
Right.
I can get another job, but I don't want another wife.
Right.
You see, this person has to be valuable enough where you prioritize, you make time to connect with your
Right,
spouse.
right.
Oh, by the way, this is the way you divorce-proof your marriage. Connection. People that end up in divorce or in infidelity, it's because they've lost connection
broken.
with their spouse. Over time, they take each other for granted, and they've lost this deep connection with each other. And oh, by the way, we are designed for relationship. This is the most intimate and personal relationship that we'll have. If for some reason I fail to have this connection, guess what? I will find that connection somewhere else. With someone else. And the enemy will make sure of that.
Right.
So men and women, make sure you have a strong connection at home so that when you go out on the job or wherever you go, there is no temptation to pull you away, tug you away from from the
Right,
connection here.
right.
So that's very important.
Yeah.
It's not just, yes, it will help to build a strong, thriving, happy marriage, but it also, on the flip side, it will divorce-proof your relationship.
Right. So true.
So true.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you back
Next
again.
week.